Cicero from Forbidden. Now we can say it. It's been a while. How are you, Craig?
It's going good. It's going really good. Just in between rehearsals, getting ready for
Okay.
our European run,
Yeah.
and writing music and doing all things Forbidden. It seems like pretty much 7 days a week right now.
It's like forbidden, like it's a forbidden calendar you should do. Like
Yeah,
365 days of forbidden.
yeah. I'd be exaggerating. One or 2 days a week, I do
Yeah,
other
I know.
things in life. I have a family and a life, so
Yeah, of
I
course,
try to do some other stuff. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's been very, very busy. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you are leaving. I think you have a show in the United States in July, and then you're leaving for
Yes.
Europe in the beginning, the 1st of August. You start playing in Europe, I think.
Yeah, yeah. We have one. We haven't played in Los Angeles yet since we've been back together. So it's been over 15 years.
Really?
Yeah. So the only places we played in the United States were festivals or in the Bay Area when we played with Death Angel or our own festival.
Okay.
So we get offers to do stuff, and it just if it's not really feasible or affordable, we don't do it. So the LA show, it seemed like a great warm up. We're traveling down there with a full production too. Whoever gets to that show is going to be pretty blown away by the visuals that go along with the music.
Yeah.
So we're doing, we're building towards something better and bigger than we ever could do before because there's so many people
No.
helping and behind the band without a record label, by the way. I mean, that's
Yeah,
by
that's what I read. That you released everything without a label. So that's
yes. And it's
forbidden without a
crazy.
label.
It's crazy how much good response we're getting for that. And not for that, but in spite of not having promotions really
Yeah.
behind it, it's just word of mouth. And that's a choice. We just because we've had record deals on the table now, but
Yeah, of course.
our instincts were to not hand it over till the record's done. We just want to
Yeah.
finish recording it, and it's so far we've been saying we've been betting on ourselves, and so far it's working. So far, uh, I mean, what do you need? Like, at some point, you're going to need someone to help out. But
Yeah, you have a yeah.
right now we're proving we have our core fan base that's a lot bigger than some might have suspected. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, because of course it's just the old fan, the new fan, the future fan, whatever fan you have, it's just there. And it's beautiful also to see how they give you literally this huge, amazing warmth. Welcome back.
Yeah,
Like
it's really really cool. And of course, there's a lot of things involved in that. And last week before the song was released, I was very
divided
nervous.
by zero. Yeah.
Yeah, before Divided by Zero was released, I was very nervous. Not necessarily about it being reacted to negatively, because I didn't think that was the case. Because we already had a test
I
for. I
imagine.
mean, people were responding. Our peers, people we
Yeah.
really respected, were much more invested in it than I thought they'd be. They
It's
said
a
really glowing things, and they still continue. Like I get a few texts from people I really look up to every day, and they're like,
yeah.
"Dude, that new song." So that wasn't it, but it's just it's a new members in the band that doesn't
Yeah.
always work. Sometimes you're really downgrading when you get somebody and you just got to settle on somebody. That wasn't the case. I
Exactly.
think we got guys that are equal, or in some cases even more suited to what we do. And
No, yeah,
uh,
exactly.
you know, so I think I was just nervous about just that kind of it's not the original guys. How can you do music without them? It's like, fuck, man, I've been in this band since I was like 15 years
Yeah.
old. But basically, like, it was, I'm the only original member. Matt's been there since '86 when he was like 16, 17. I think he was 17 when he joined.
You were
So
teenager.
yeah, we were just kids.
Yeah.
We were just kids. So when people say stuff to me like that, or it's like, or wonder if we could still do it. Like,
Of course.
I've been doing it the whole time. I'm pretty sure that I know I have a grip on what
Yeah.
Forbidden sounds like, but still, you get nervous. You get a little,
You are
uh,
human? I guess so. So
yeah,
are you
very,
human?
very human,
So
very
that's
human.
normal. That's normal.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is a little bit anxious. It's
I was anxious.
because you know also that also you last it was like last year when you built up the all the suspense for the Forbidden reunion. So it was
Yeah,
like a letter each time. So there was the building up. And so
two. It's been 2 years
two
now. It's
years
been
now. So
2 years.
it's 2 years that we don't do any interview. What the fuck is going on?
No. We did the interview last year, but it's been 2 years since the letter
Yeah,
build up. That I think that started in like
2023.
May or April of 2023. So
Yeah,
yeah, that and
you build up.
yeah, I mean, people, and I know people hate to be teased and over teased, but I think it works,
Yeah,
especially if you actually deliver on something. They don't go, oh, like that. It's so yeah, and so we're again we're betting on ourselves. We
of
have
course.
confidence, but because I know people are like, why do you keep telling us this video is coming out? I've been watching bands just dropping shit without telling anybody and it failing miserably because there was no preparedness. And we are our own advertising. We don't have an advertising campaign. We're not paying for
Yeah,
ads. So we have to do it like
you
in our
have your
way. So
own.
word of mouth. So people will tell people, tell people, tell people.
The
And
old
then by the
way.
time, yeah, you get there. So it's the only way we can do it right now.
Yeah, but also I think one other thing, the formula is working really well because you have Forbidden is a not made by just random musician pick up in some audition. It's musician, professional musician. Like literally, they have their own, career, and you can see they are professional. And especially like I mean, Norman is he got his following. He's an amazing vocalist. I mean, Chris Contos. We can't even speak. I mean, I think people already are aware who they are. They saw them live. You played live already. So I think that Forbidden with this formation, I think it's settled now. So that was the
Yeah,
time
yeah.
for releasing new music now. So it's
And
time.
and don't forget Dan. You
Yeah,
know,
then also, yeah.
Dan is an incredible musician and also a music professor, and also in Voivod, and also in Martyr. It also does jazz gigs. It also, he's like
I know.
Dan. But I
Then,
mean, when Steve, because the thing with Steve happened, and people may or may not know, but you know, uh, Steve was going through a lot emotionally. He had a lot going on in his life. He had lost his wife to cancer, which was really tragic. And then
yeah,
six or so months later, I approached him about doing Forbidden, and it was perfect for him to take his focus and move it into
yeah.
something different for a while. But then after about a year of it, almost a year, we started to see signs that he needed to
Take a
deal with it. Like kind of just
break.
his health was declining, and it was all just because his heart was broken. And
Of course.
yeah, we offered him a chance to just take a break,
Yeah.
and we'd have Dan come in and help out for some shows. But he decided he just needed to really focus on himself.
It's not
And
easy.
yeah,
That's a
yeah,
thing that broke your heart for forever. So
yes. And his wife was an exceptional woman. And it's just they were partners, so I can relate. And yeah, it was really sad. But to his credit, he decided to step back and he's all just concentrate on my life and my other band. And I've been there with that. I've chosen
yeah,
the lesser popular band
yeah.
because I believed in it, and he did the same thing, and I give him a lot of credit for that. He did all the right things. We did the right thing. First guy I reached out to was Dan. He was the very first person. He came in my mind. He'd be the perfect
Perfect.
complement. I think he'd be like Tim Calvert in a way, like just his approach to guitar, and he jumped on it right away. And we talked to a
Maybe.
couple other guys that were amazing and very popular guitar players, and they were interested too, but they didn't have the window of time. But he was the first guy I asked, and the one that said yes immediately.
Yeah,
So
I
here we
think
are.
because I think being also like in Forbidden, having such a lot of history behind you, it's not like jumping in some underground band and you can afford to. You have to be committed to go on tour, to do an album. It's like being married with someone else, having a second wife, kind of, let's say.
Yes, well, that's interesting too, because
Yeah,
yes, for a guy like Dan, who's obviously got so much going on, but I don't think anybody on earth that I've ever met in my entire life is as prepared or as well rehearsed as Dan is before he even steps in the door. He puts, he doesn't sleep much because he puts most of his waking hours into projects and work. You know what he was doing when I first got a hold of him? He was finishing writing all of the tablature for Jason Becker's Perpetual Burn for Jason Becker.
okay.
So if you want to know how good he is, think about that. Jason Becker said, "I want you to do my tablature," and he he like figured out how to play everything
Did.
that's on perpetual burn perfectly, and had meetings with Jason when he came here. He went and met with Jason, and you know, had their meeting. And Jason's a friend of mine, and he's a friend of the band. And me and
Yeah.
Chris have known Jason for a long time. But yeah, it's just like the level of professionality that this
Yeah.
man holds. And
Exactly.
yeah, and the thing is, so you know, when it came to the music, I was just showing him these riffs, and I was just showing him these songs. Like, you know, Divided by Zero was written basically uh for the most part by me. Like, I started with a riff a couple of years ago, and then we came back to it like right before we went in the studio, about a month before. Called an audible. We called it an audible. We
Okay.
changed
Yeah.
your mind, and we're like, okay, we're gonna do this one too. So we went back, and then I showed it to Dan,
Okay.
and he immediately picked up on it and sent me back a bunch of ideas that
Okay. For
fit.
the
So, but this is crazy though. So it sounded great. It sounded really good. I'm all, man, you know, you sound really locked in with me. He's, oh, well, I re-recorded your parts too, just because I wanted to have the same, you know, quality of recording going
yeah.
back. I'm like, he fooled me. I was like, you, no one's ever, no one's ever done that. I was like, holy shit. So
Get
then after
you.
that, I listened to what he did,
And
and I said, that's great. Thanks. And he's like, well, I'm going to re-record it. I want it to be perfect. I'm like, no, no, not perfect. I don't want it to be perfect. I want it to be that, because that sounds like a band. That sounds like we were actually, you
yeah.
know, on. I like things when they're on the edge, and so many bands these days don't make albums that sound like that. They make albums that sound perfect.
Yeah.
And so that was like,
Well, it's
he was like, really? He's all, really? You know, you like that? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to use it, man. It's perfect. It's perfect enough, you know. And so
and
that's our approach. That was the approach to him and everybody.
and the first song that you, because of course, like I mean, many people are asking you release Divided by Zero, but of course it's a song that will eventually put out an album out.
Mhm.
And it was the first song you wrote, Divided by Zero, or
Yeah, yeah, it was. It was the first riff. I was sitting
first
right here when I
riff.
wrote it. I wrote that little just sitting right here, and had the other
Yeah.
riff. And then when I showed it to Chris Contos, it was the first riff I showed him, and he immediately said, "Let's put some stops there." He's like, "Let's just stop everything." And I'm like, "Oh, what a good idea!" And then, you know, we wrote a lot of other music in between, and then we were about to go in, you know, a
To
few
wrap it
weeks
up.
away, and he's like, "Let's look at that one again." I was like, "Fuck, okay." So we did, and it was, and in my mind, the reason why it's so perfect is because I thought, man, what would a Forbidden fan want to hear first? And then that riff was what I thought of. You know,
You
it's like,
thought
it
of it.
sounds modern, but it sounds like modern Forbidden. It doesn't sound like modern anybody else.
Yeah, there's the sound of there's the trash sound. That's the sound of Forbidden in a kind. Yeah, let's say. I mean, music evolves, people evolves. You're not anymore that 17, 15 years old guy or 20, 20. Music evolves. So it's normal that also the music of Forbidden today is as a more mature sound also is normal.
Yeah,
If we
yeah,
stay still back in the, like there are the type of people that say, "Oh, I like music from the 80s," and they stuck with that. They never evolve. So from the 89, once one guy told me, "No, no, I like the music of 89." What the fuck was an 89? Like just
right.
1 year,
You weren't even were you even born yet? I don't think you were born yet.
2 years old I was.
Okay, okay, okay.
I
So,
wasn't able to.
but you know what? But that brings up a good point, though,
Yeah,
and that goes into our logic when and the way we went in and thought about recording, because in again, in my mind, I see people going back and loving the old music, and then, you know, like, I see people scratching their heads, why do they keep going back? And I think I know why. It's because those old recordings weren't perfect. They had life
yeah,
in them, and there's little scratches and if you listen to our stuff in the headphones, you're going to hear we left those little things in there on purpose. We didn't mute like breaks,
yeah.
like everything. You know, we kept everything like it's got some life. You're going to hear some things,
So
and that's all. You know, and because I got to be the last word in production on it, you know, I mean, we had Zach Oren, who's an incredible engineer, and he's a producer too. But in our case, we kind of produced ourselves, and he just
okay,
recorded us and mixed us, you know. But you know, Chris and I did the production, and the way that we went about it was just to leave those little imperfections in that make music unique. because I just think that's what's missing. I could listen on satellite radio to, you know, 50 fucking new songs mixed
Yeah.
with old songs, and you're gonna find that the old ones make you move and feel better, and the new ones just sound sonically
Yeah.
pulverizing, but they kind of
And
they,
also,
they they surround you too much. There's just too much going on sonically where there's no empty
exactly.
space.
There's
And
too
I
much
yeah,
emphasizing of the sound, of the ambient, let's say, of ambient.
real
Yeah.
ambience, as opposed to synthetic ambience. Because you can make something. I mean, we could have went a whole other way. It's funny when I read comments, and most people get it and understand right off the bat. But once in a while, you see somebody that sounds too modern and like modern production. I'm like, what are you talking about? We just got all we got was good tones and turned them up. I mean, there was not like any kind of Pro Tools magic being
Yeah.
used to fix things. It was like every I'm gonna leave that there, leave that there.
Yeah.
Editing was minimal, smallest amount of editing that most bands wouldn't dare to walk out on a ledge and do that these days. But I think, and what I'm hoping is, and we're just a small band, a cult band on the side, but I'm hoping that one way or another, this will help influence other bands to take more chances
Yeah.
to leave that shit in their music, because then people are gonna they'll rewind it and go back to it because it has
Yeah.
character. Character.
Exactly.
That's the
They're
word
gonna
I'm
make
missing.
their own personality. There's gonna make that. That's what's gonna make the difference between bands. Even if
Yes.
it is another genre, even if it's electronic, but I don't. If you live in perfect, it's like a person. It's like this filter for people, for women. If you live your as you are, even in like the botox and does that make your face? It's the imperfection that make you you.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
will call the same,
Accept yourself.
exactly.
You know,
Accept your music, the music how it is. It's I think that's why many people we love also the vinyls, because we can still hear those scratches on the vinyls, the old vinyls.
why I some people hate the scratches. I love it. I love to hear a needle drop and hear that.
Yeah,
And
beautiful
then I
stuff.
also love to take an old album digitally and put on the headphones and hear where all the things that weren't perfect, like old Zeppelin records, are full of it. And but they were created in such a way where it feels alive. And so that was kind of and that's only the first song. I mean, we have three that we recorded, and we're going to release both of those
Okay.
probably before we even get the chance to go back in the studio and finish the rest of the record, because this record's gonna be done and finished before the end of the year, like completely
Okay.
mixed, done. Okay, so it won't. People are like, I can't wait for the end of 2025 where your album comes out. You're gonna wait because it's gonna be 2026, because we have to
Take your
not
time.
only record this record, but eventually we're going to make a deal with the label, because we
Yeah.
need to partner up. And
In for
we're
the
going to have
distribution.
5 or 6 months of promotion to do. Like, it's just the way it works, man. This is the new world. It's
It's
just the
a
way it is.
distribution. It's when you get the deal, they have the distribution, you have the PR agency. They're gonna spread it throughout all the world. I have a bunch of emails of band like,
Got to make vinyl. You got to make vinyl. We're going to have a lot of vinyl. That
they are
and
expensive though today, so that's it. You need a good promotion then. It's not.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what people that especially dropping songs and listening to the songs and going through the plot and nowadays platform Spotify whatsoever. They are always to support the band, going to the live show, taking the merchandise, buying the merchandise. This is the only way that to keeping the band alive. Doesn't matter if they are smaller, newer, older, how to keep music alive. Because people
Yeah,
think
there's
that printing and vinyl is like, I don't know, $10. Yeah, here you are. It's not like that. Is
well, the physical product is another part. I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of, this bores a lot of people to hear this shit, but they need to know how it works. Like, I feel like, and I know this for a fact, that humans and music consumers have been spoiled over the last 30 years, right? I mean, they are spoiled. They don't realize how much streaming has actually killed what they love.
yeah,
And there's a lot. I mean, this goes out like this is like the roots of a tree. It just goes down and goes deep into
yeah.
the philosophies that humans have now, taking things for granted. That I mean,
Unfortunately,
and
yes.
every band is different. Like, some bands can write things really quickly, and spend just a little bit of time on it, and you know, use technology to their advantage. And a band like Forbidden is super organic, and it takes us a long time just from the riffs to structure to make sure that these songs are perfect so they
Yeah.
meld together. So all that time we spend and all that time we spend recording and all that time built up, and your album is like, it's like this. Your album's this. It's a business card. This is my friend's band, Earthcrawler, right? So here's your record. Boom. It's a business card. Oh yeah, cool. I'll listen to that later.
Yeah.
Oh, or oh, I like this. I'll go buy a T-shirt. The best you can hope for. Oh yeah, maybe I'll buy a stream from you.
Yeah.
And so people expect everything to be handed to them for free
Immediately.
because
Yeah.
that's the way they're
Exactly.
used to it. So your YouTube stuff, your you know your songs on YouTube, your song is streaming, your song is everywhere. They just take, and no one wants to hear that. They get upset. Whoa, you know, because that's all they know. But
Um,
we as artists survive and make records in some miraculous way in
I know.
2025. Like, how does it even
Uh,
happen? Because you're not getting support from the fan like you used to. And it's difficult. And there's so many bands too. And there's a lot of bands that aren't really that good, but that maybe somebody likes, like, they have like 15 of their favorite bands. Which ones are they going to spend money on?
exactly.
You know, so I get it. It's
Yeah. It's normal. But
a
I
conundrum. You get a
yeah.
conundrum. You know the word conundrum. It's like
Conundrum.
a conundrum's like a riddle. You know, it's just
Okay.
it's a perpetual problem
Yeah.
that repeats itself.
Itself. Yeah.
And yeah, that's where we are in this
Yeah.
business.
And
And people,
unfortunately,
go
this
ahead.
happened. This happened with the bands. I know that maybe they even, for example, they wanted to they have everything on tape. Let's say old recording, and maybe they wanted to put out on vinyl because the fan requested. And then when they put it on sale, because it's a super expensive process, you have to put music from tape to whatever, mix it again, put it on vinyl, and then you put a vinyl, let's say for $40, $30. People are gonna say, "Can you put less? Why it's so expensive?" There's a lot behind it. And I saw
Oh
that
yeah.
because I had friend doing that, and it's not from US that they spend a lot of money from his own pocket to do that. So I can get at the point of view also as a collector of vinyls. I would like to have all vinyls of the band of the world. For example, I think about 2 years ago, um, Seven Churches of Possess, after 20, 30 years of being alive, because I got the chance to find it, I don't know, somewhere in a store and I bought it. But imagine being a teenager and you have like, I don't know, $10 in your pocket. I remember my dad, that's what my dad used to tell me. He used to save, day by day money because he loved music and he wanted to support the band from Italy, for example. So I used to buy vinyls for with his $20. So, and that's why bands like that today are still alive and still big in Italy. It was prog rock, but that was its time. So what is different now? That now we have all the music like in a phone. Before,
Yeah.
like you said, my dad
Yeah.
has to collect the money to listen his own favorite band.
Yeah.
That's
And it's understandable too. I
yeah,
empathize with the consumer. You know, I have empathy for them,
yeah,
and I understand all sides of it. That's the way my brain's wired. I always think of I'm a devil's advocate, and I think of things on all sides. But at the end of the day, as a musician, which is what I do,
of
you
course.
know, I see the problem clearly, and as does Chris. Like Chris Contos and myself, we talk about this often. You know, we're like, you know, we got to kind of get into this with eventually this is going to be a sticking point with the fans where we're going to be giving educations, whether you like it or not. Like, you're going to understand how
But
this works. Then, you know, and the same thing. I mean, I could tie this right into making visuals and doing products and videos and everything,
yeah,
and the use of artificial intelligence versus computer graphics versus somebody prompting something on chat GBT and just
whatever.
like saying, yeah, and then throwing shit out there. It's like, people don't understand the process and
Yeah,
how much work gets put into everything. At least at
exactly.
this band, speaking from our point of view, we don't, hundreds of hours of work went into our video. Hundreds.
The
I'm
video is
talking
divided by
hundreds.
zero.
Yeah, into divided by zero. People are like, oh yeah, shit AI videos. Like, what? Like, most people love the video because they actually watch it and they see it's a story and it explains something, and it's edited in such a way where you could actually see the robots and the monsters and the
Yeah.
teachers and the establishment. They get it. Then you get this, wow, shit AI video. It doesn't make any sense. Like, well, bro, like maybe you should actually
Watch.
watch with your eyeballs instead of and see. And right there, that's what Divided by Zero is even about. It's about essentially,
Yeah.
all those things I just talked about, but about people being triggered on words as opposed to actually knowing what they're talking about and understanding what it is
Exactly.
that they're arguing over. They just argue. So the word AI has become a trigger. I watched Terminator, Skynet. That's the AI you should be worried about, not somebody coming in and creating painstakingly, like
Yeah.
working through computer graphics and fucking a new technology to build their nightmares, because that's what we did. Is so I just people's perceptions versus reality, they have to be challenged.
Yeah.
And if this is the last days on Earth and we're about to fucking blow up in a Holocaust, you should know that before you die, you dipshit. Not you,
Yeah,
but
no, I know. I know, I know,
you
but
should
I know
know.
because I had in front of me a part of the lyrics of Divided by Zero. That's what I said. Because always we're gonna be divided, like by life, by death, by fear, by love, by culture, by life. It's fucking true. We're always divided.
Yeah,
So
and I want to give Norm a lot of credit, because so far with this song, Norman Skinner. Okay, so like here's this. All three of the songs we recorded, and all of the songs we have so far, have been my titles and my concept that I thought I was going to
okay,
be writing myself
okay,
deeply. And as it turned out, that's not the case.
okay,
Norman, sorry, I'm here. Uh,
okay.
I just make sure that I have do not disturb on. I should not be getting a call. Um, but anyway, I gave Norman the
The freedom.
first verse, part
First,
of the first verse, the title, and what I wanted it to be about, and Chris and I kind of talked to him about it, and then I wrote the chorus. I had the chorus written, and
okay.
then he fucking came back with like an amazing. He finished it up and looped it all up and made a great story out of it, and explained it far better, I think, than I could have as Forbidden's lyricist for all these years. I feel like his clarity was welcome. I was like, and it made one less
Yeah.
job for me to do. And I was like, yes, I finally have a writing partner. And then Chris and I would sit down at the end of it all and just kind of help him with a few words here and there
Yeah,
and
reading.
taglines, but it was really between the three of us working. And
Yeah.
that's was the way everything's kind of worked.
All
It's
the
really been
song.
Chris and me, and then we invite everyone else into it, and they all add their parts.
It's been a collaboration between all of you guys.
It's a
Collaboration.
real band. It's a real band in that way now.
How a band should be, kind of a
Well,
family connected, like you write the lyrics, someone is gonna say your opinion, maybe adding their part, you're writing a riff, someone else listening, same that with the drums. That's not like, okay, this is my part, this is your part, let's put it together, single out. No, that it's called that, and it's not what it's about. Also Divided by Zero, because I listen that, and it's not about that. It's not a cold song. You can feel that you can feel Forbidden. And I know because I had a big fan previously in Poison Rock. There was I think the #1 Forbidden fan. I know the sound. His first word when he was born was Forbidden. I know for a fact. So that's your sound. So Divided by Zero is out. There's people can read the lyrics, can assimilate the song, try to understand it. So far, aside for the festival, the festival in Europe, because you're gonna be again in Dynamo, your fest, you're always in Dynamo, a Dynamo Fest.
well, this year we're playing the Dynamo Club,
So the
and
Dynamo Club, okay.
we just have a headlining show there,
Oh,
and
cool.
no, we start with Wacken, our
Back and yeah,
first. So,
it's
but
big.
luckily, after we do the LA show, we go in a little early and rehearse for a couple days in our tour manager's
Okay.
club. He has a club that he works at that's letting us rehearse there for 2 days, so it's
Okay.
really cool. So we don't have to step up on stage at Wacken and just
Without,
like walk
yeah,
up cold. We'll be ready to go.
okay.
It's really really cool. So it's a hell of a way to start. And
Yeah, I mean, there's
we got some
budget.
other. We're doing like 4 festivals and 7 headline
Yeah,
dates.
there's I think Alcatraz, something Motoculture, which is really good in France, also in Carnet, something like that, in Carré. So let's say you're at least in the central part of Europe at the moment, And then I think we're gonna see some other song in during the end of the autumn, whatever goes the other singles released with the time. Right? I'm
Yeah, I think the next song's probably going to come out right as soon as we come back from Europe. The
okay.
next one's going to follow, and then a couple months after that, we're going to put out videos for each one,
Okay.
and they're going to be quality videos. We're not going to do shitty videos, with or without a label. We're going to put the work in and make sure that
I'm
you're gonna get entertained,
yeah.
and not gonna like. There's going to be no videos of little flashlights under our face, or like it's we're going to try to put some
No,
work into the art.
yeah, I mean, of course, I can understand people that are waiting for the album, but just that it's summer. Just let's enjoy the first song of Forbidden after really a while, and and just listen the song with your head, tattoo in your forehead the song. So divided by zero, can you imagine? No, that's not. Don't tattoo. It's not a suggestion, but like literally.
No, yeah, no. Do you know? Have you ever heard the term divided by zero? By the way, are you familiar with that term?
No, I'm not, but
Well,
I know kind of
well,
the
what?
meaning.
Well, it's a mathematical argument, and it
Okay.
comes down that it actually comes out to being a forbidden number, right? Because people
Okay.
argue if you can or cannot divide by zero. And
Zero.
if you look
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
cover, if you look at the cover, see
It's
there's that circle around it. That's the
yeah.
equation. That's the equation of the mathematical
Okay,
problem.
yeah, that's the equation.
Yeah, and then in the center of it, you're going to see a zero there. When you look at that black hole, like essentially, that singularity comes out to that. So we just made it into,
There's a
basically that's the
conceptual. Yeah.
equation, and the argument. People argue,
Yeah.
it's so that's kind of, and that's it's a theme that kind of ties into a couple songs that we release, or we're releasing
Okay.
this first batch. So, but yeah, there's also, we're getting into sacred geometry. We have a song called Flower of Life where it's all about sacred geometry. So there's a lot of math, I think, in
Okay.
this new Forbidden batch of stuff. I think it's
So you said already something to tease the people, to tease the fan, let's say.
yeah, I think Flower of Life is the song that everyone that's heard all three songs, almost every single person has said, "Oh my God, that's your best song you've ever written." Like that's the song. It's very epic. It's like 9 minutes, 9.5 minutes long, and not boring.
Man, go.
Um,
I can't wait
it,
to
it,
listen that song. So it's gonna
yeah,
be one of
I think you'll
the
dig
next.
it.
It's gonna be amazing. So flowers of life. So these are there. So let's say there's gonna be something about the math in a kind of philosophical way. Let's say.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
always a little bit of that in Forbidden stuff, but
Yeah.
there again, there is, these are titles I came up with, but Norman took it to another
Develop
level.
between the lyrics. Yeah.
Norman took it. Norman wrote great lyrics and melodies,
Yeah.
and I have
It's amazing.
so much love for what he's done and brought to this
I
band, and
mean,
I'm really really happy to
I
have
mean,
him as a
we have to.
partner.
The next interview will be after the older single will be released before the album because we have to dig more about each song because now we have what we will talk about more. No, really, Craig, what can I say? I really thank you for everything, for the interview. It was a pleasure talking to you again. And hopefully see you soon also with you. It's fucking 5 years. So
Yeah, are you going to come to any of these shows we have? I know you're in Italy.
I'm trying. So I will let you know if I'm coming. And as always, greetings to your wife and have a beautiful rest of the night, of the evening, of the day for you, for me, the night.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much for having me. It's
It
good to
was a
talk to you again.
pleasure. Have a good rest of the day, Craig.
All
Bye.
right. Bye
Bye.
bye.